Today's date is July 10, 2013. The subject interviewed is Peter G. Kelly. The interviewer is Anthony Roy. The interview was recorded at 100 Pearl Street, Suite 1700, Hartford, Connecticut. The interviewer is working for the Connecticut Civil War Commemoration Commission as a part of the commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. If you could state and spell out your name, please.
Peter Kelly, P-E-T-E-R, Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y. Middle name is Galbraith, G-A-L-B-R-A-I-T-H. My current home address is 29 High Point in Middle Haddam, Connecticut. I am an attorney, and I should say a recovering attorney, and was born in Hartford on June 30, 1937. First of all, my family's been, my Irish side of my family has been in the Hartford area since the 1870s. My grandfather and his brother worked stonecutters in southern England for many, many years, earning their boodle, if you will. And they came to Hartford with the objective of continuing work as stonecutters. In the course of things, they leased or bought, I can't tell you which, what is now the South Campus of Trinity for a farm. It's the remnants of Retreat Farm after Mr. Batterson sold the northern half to the state of Connecticut, to the Trinity College. And they bought a stone company from James Batterson. And that was actually opened in 1886. Over my shoulder is actually a photograph of my grandfather and his brother as they just purchased the stone company. So the family's been around for a long time in the stone business. I kind of love to look at Travelers. The Travelers Tower, my grandfather did the stonework on. The two buildings to the north, my father did a precast. To the east, my brother did. And the portico on the south side of the tower, my nephews did, so as stonecutters. The business started in 1886. It closed in 1987. Believe it or not, the victim of the interstate highway system. Now that quarries could cut stone at home and ship it without it being broken, and that was the end of regional stone companies. When over my shoulder, I think it's here, you'll see that's a page from the Hartford Directory, and it shows about 1/3 of a page, Kelly Brothers Cut Stone Contractors. Behind me here is the 1886 picture of them starting their stoneworks from what was Batterson's, and that's a billhead up there of the billhead they used in 1899. So somewhat unusual for Irish, because Irish used to be called turkeys, because turkeys are the dumbest animal in life, and the Irish that came here generally were rural Irishmen who had no education and frankly didn't even speak English, and so they were viewed as very, very poor contributors to society. So my grandfather and his brother were happily very successful. They bought this existing stone company from James Batterson, and they made it work. The immigrants in my family, my particular family, is my paternal grandfather came here from Ireland with his brother in the 1870s. A fine Scottish Presbyterian lady named Mary Elizabeth Galbraith came here too, from the same town in Northern Ireland, from Armagh, A-R-M-A-G-H. They did not know one another, but they met here and they married here. So that's why I bear the middle name Galbraith. That's my paternal grandmother's maiden name, Peter Galbraith Kelly. My mother was actually born in Denmark. She came, I actually have the name of the ship, the name of her cabin. She came here at the age of 30 days with two older sisters and her mother, and ultimately the father came. And they were farmers as well. My mother was raised on what a farm is now called the University of Hartford. I have pictures of her standing in the pond that's prominently displayed in the in anything that the University of Hartford issues. Her standing with cows that she milked in that pond. So they're all immigrants. The stone business, obviously my grandfather and his brother were aggressive business people. They wanted to go into business. It made sense if they could find a company that was already in existence, that they should buy that. Batterson was coming of an age where his health wasn't good, he was getting tired, and they purchased the business from him. I have no idea what they paid for it. I have no idea whatsoever. That stuff is lost, at least to me. As I understand it, there was a competition put out by the United States to place 500 Union soldiers in the southern courthouses, just so they don't forget what just happened, called the Civil War. It was not a very nice thing to do, but that's what the government wanted to do. And obviously, Mr. Batterson competed for that. And as I understand it, he created 2 Civil War statues in brownstone. My historic understanding is that they were rejected because they had the wrong foot forward at Parade Rest. That would have been a terrible error. I hear subsequently it might be because of the material. Brownstone is not a particularly lasting stone. If you lay it up, it's a sedimentary stone that's been pushed down. If you put it so that the sedimentary seams go up and down, it'll spall, pieces will break off, and that's what's happened to this soldier. So Batterson put this one statue on a corner of the land where the Charter Oak Stone Company was. My grandparents, father and his brother bought that business, and the statue was there. They didn't think much about it, it was just there. Then the city of Hartford decided to condemn a piece of the property that would cross the property of now my father's and his cousin. And it left the soldier on a triangular piece of land that we still own, but there was a road now in front of it. And so it sat there. In 1936, there was a very bad flood here. The stone company was literally underwater. 1938, it had 19 feet of water over it. I have a picture of my father in a rowboat with his hand on a 21-foot high post. And he was 2 feet from the top. Obviously, the soldier was completely underwater. So in 1938, my father had enough. He went and he bought a bunch of property called Airport Road, and he located the stone company down there. But in 1938, they moved the plant, and my father tried to move the statue to this new place. And there was an uproar. Newspapers, Hartford politician steals public monument, things like that. I've been looking for the article. I know it's somewhere in this collection of photos that my father put together, but I've got to dig it out. But that was, he finally said, heck with it, I'll leave it there. So it stood there all by itself for a long time. And then my brother came along, and I would guess this would be 1970s, 1975, somewhere in there, but I can get a specific date. He moved it. He actually put the soldier on a pedestal, had a brass plate put on it that indicates the history, and moved it to Airport Road. And then in 1987, that business came to an end. My father had passed away. I was the executive of the estate. We actually sold the property and reserved a 10 by 10 foot piece where the statue rests. And here we are. I am ecstatic that this piece of history that we've watched over for so many years is going to find a wonderful place to rest. It's an interesting piece of history, particularly given the mixture of new and old. I mean, this is a Batterson product. At the time, he was moving the state capitol from the old State House to the Trinity site, which is now called Capitol Hill, and moving Trinity to the north end of the Retreat Farm. Mr. Batterson did very well through all of those transactions. The Kellys came in, they picked the remnants, which happened to be one statue, and have that under their watch for 138 years.
So why would you say this monument is important?
Well, it's a genuine reflection of the state of mind of the Union some years after the winning of the Civil War. People have a sense of the history that says, oh, you know, we were all, you know, put arms around them, and, you know, you're our lost brother. That's nonsense. There was a genuine animosity, particularly from this part of the country, for the South. And so the government obviously at one point, this was not Lincoln. Lincoln was different, but I think Ulysses Grant is the one who's credited with this very, very strong negative sort of thing. And so the request for proposals for the federal government for Union soldier to be put in the Southern Courthouse, I mean, that can't be anything but just damn mean. And so it's a piece of history.
Could you tell me a little bit about where the soldier's final resting place is going to be? Just for
Sure, yeah. I mean, if you go to the state capitol, by the way, built by James Batterson. If you go to the state capitol, there are, on the first floor, there are two big areas for displays. One of them is heavily focused on Revolutionary War material, and the other on Civil War. This will be placed where the Civil War material is. I think that there are maybe 6 or 5 other artifacts that are pure Civil War, and this is going to be one of them. So.
Are you going to be at the rededication?
Oh, I think so. We're actually planning something. You might imagine that when two brothers, John P. Kelly, that's my great uncle, and Michael Hagan Kelly, then get married, and they have kids, and they have kids. We're talking about 300 members of the family that exist. Actually, on Monday, I'm actually going down to visit with a couple of my cousins who are very careful watchers of that, to see if we can pull a list together and have a little Kelly party coincident with this dedication.
That would be great. Do you have any other final comments or things you'd like to say before we close?
Well, I think I want to say a very special thank you to Matthew Warshauer for being the driver of this. I've been working on lots of different options over the years, and frankly, if the soldier was not taken care of now, it would get really lost in history. You get way, way too far removed. I mean, I actually remember it when I was just a little kid. So I'm grateful to Matthew and to all the people who are involved in it. That's going to be fun.